Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with a little warm-up. We'll start with defense attorney. Ready? Here we go. What are your current assets? My current assets? Yes, I don't have any assets. Well, you own a home, right? No, I don't. Who owns the home? I don't know. You don't own the home you are living in? No. Do you pay rent to somebody? No. Did you ever own the home? Yes. Did you sell the house? No. When did you own your home? I don't recall. When did you cease owning your home? Sometime during my incarceration. How did that happen? I don't know. What makes you think it happened at all? I don't know. But you don't know who owns it now? I believe the court. Which court? I don't know the name of the court. Is this something in connection with your personal bankruptcy? Yes. You have no assets at all? No. Do you have bank accounts? Oh yes, I have a bank account. Where is that? National Bank. All right, now we'll try some for voice. A little more practice. We'll start with the plaintiff attorney. Ready? Do you remember that for a fact? Yes, I do. And how do you remember that particular one? Because he collected on it. In other words, he had an accident. That is correct. Do you recall the type of vehicle that he had purchased the insurance for? It was a pickup. I believe it was a Toyota. And you can say that with certainty, not that it was a Toyota, but you can say for certain that it was a Toyota. That is correct. Do you recall when he collected on the vehicle? No, I don't. Do you recall approximately when the accident occurred? No, I don't. I would have to check my records, and your records are not here today. I wasn't requested to bring that information. You weren't? Is that the case, Mr. Ross? Didn't you bring the records that were requested? I didn't know. You didn't mention that. The information was requested. You probably didn't pay attention to it. I'm sorry. Let the record reflect that no records were presented. How long have you been working for insurance companies? About 7 years. Did you offer Mr. Miles a policy for his business? For 2 of his businesses. And what businesses were they? One was the limo service. Mr. Miles was the owner of a limo service. I believe he was. Didn't he just work there? No, I believe he was one of the owners. Was his name on one of your insurance policies? Yes, it was. What was the name of the limo service? I think it was Classic Coach. And when was that policy taken out? I don't recall. Where is that located? I don't have the address here. How long ago was the policy purchased on Classic Coach? About a year ago. Was Mr. Miles working there at the time? Yes, he was. At least I think he was. What did he do there? I don't know. I don't think he was a limo driver because it would require a special policy. Was he ever insured by your company? No, he wasn't. You can say that with certainty. Yes, I can, but the business was insured. That is correct. Did he have insurance on the limos with you? They were covered by the business policy. How many vehicles would you say were covered? I would have to say about 10. You don't have the exact figures? No, sir, I don't. How many vehicles did he own? The business had about 10 vehicles. They were all covered. To my knowledge, they were all covered, and his personal vehicles were covered. He had a policy for a pickup and an automobile. And do you recall what type of pickup it was? It was a Toyota. A moment ago, you weren't that sure. Did you just remember? Yes, I did. I just thought about it, and I remembered that he had the same type of truck as I have. That's the vehicle that was insured with Western Casualty. Is that correct? You know, I don't know for sure. I use a number of different insurance companies. It would be Western or some other one. When did he purchase the vehicle? I believe it was September. I can't remember the date. Can you remember the year? I have trouble without my records. Did he purchase the truck new or used? I believe it was new. Where did he purchase it from? That I couldn't tell you without my records. That vehicle is not insured with you anymore, is it? No, it isn't. When did he stop covering it with your company? I guess after it got wrecked. I don't know when he stopped. I know that the insurance paid for his damages. Excuse me. All right, a little more for voice practice. And we will start with the court. Ready? Here we go. People versus Burns. Let the record show defendant is present, represented by counsel. People are represented by counsel. All jurors are present. Counsel, you may call your first witness. We call Mike Smith. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Be seated in the witness box. Please state your name and spell your last name. Mike F. Smith, S-M-I-T-H. Mr. Smith, do you reside at 324 Rose in West Hills? Yes, sir. And did you also reside there on the date of May 16 of 2009? Yes, sir. Now on that date, May 16, did you leave your house at some time? Yes. And do you remember about what time that was? 3-4 in the afternoon. And at that time, was there anyone home when you left, or was the house empty? House was empty when you left. Did you secure all the doors and windows? Yes. If we don't, the alarm system doesn't activate. Do you have an alarm system in the house? Yes. Is that connected up to the doors and windows? Yes. And do you have to turn it on if you want to have it activated when you leave? Right. Now, when you left, was there any damage to any of the windows of the house? No. And is there a kitchen window in the back of your house? Yes. And more specifically, was that broken or damaged in any way at the time you left on the 16th? No. Incidentally, is your alarm, when it goes off, does it make some sort of noise? Yes, it's got a loud bell inside the house and outside. Not a siren, but a bell. A bell. Also, does it have any attachment that goes with it as part of your service that notifies the alarm company? Yes. We subscribe to a service that calls the police in case the alarm goes off 15 seconds after the alarm goes off. All right. Does it also call an alarm company too? Well, the alarm goes off through the alarm service and alarm company. Well, sir, here's what I'm trying to find out. If one phones the police station or some way transmits a message to the alarm company. Okay, when the alarm goes off, there is something that calls the police station. What is the name of the company? Hawk Security. Is there something that notifies Hawk? That's what I'm asking, right? Okay, is that an immediate notification, or is there some delay on that? I think in case we set it off accidentally, we've got 10 to 15 seconds in order to call, in order to shut it off. If it's not shut off in 10 to 15 seconds, then the alarm company calls the police department. All right, as part of the alarm system, the kitchen would be in the back, hooked up to the system also. Yes. And what sort of things will set off the alarm? If the window is opened, I think if it's open more than opened at all, it triggers off. If the glass is broken in any way, there is a monitor that triggers the alarm off when a large screeching sound is heard. Now, did you on another day, that is May 2nd, return to your house? Yes. And when you returned to the house, did you find anything different about its condition than when you had left on the 16th? Yes. My kitchen window was broken. There was a piece of plywood boarded up over the window, and the screen was that done by a relative of yours? Yes. And the screen was still on the lawn in our backyard. Had it been on the window when you left? Yes. The kitchen sink was full of glass that was apparently from the window. Yes. Hadn't there been, when you left, no glass in the kitchen sink? Right. Now, Mr. Smith, did you give anyone permission to enter your house while you were gone? No, sir. And did you give this defendant permission to be in your house or to tamper with any part of your house? No, sir. Do you know him at all? No. Ever seen him before? No. Now, also, you testified that your address is 324 Rose. Is that right? West Hills? Yes. And are there two houses that are in back of yours, that is with adjacent? Right, two houses. And what would be the street that would run by those houses that were in back of yours? I parallel Tulip Drive West. So of the two houses in back of you, their front doors would front on the Tulip Drive West. Is that right? Yes. Is there some sort of fence on the back? Yes, a fence across my entire backyard except for an opening that's approximately 3 feet wide where there is a big Edison pole. Along this back line of the property, is there any kind of vegetation? It's very thick, very thick. What would it be? A bush of some sort? There is heavy bush. The neighbor's ivy is climbing up on the back over the fence, so it's very bushy. Would that be do you mean on your neighbor's side of the fence? Yes. In fact, does it extend any further than the back of your property? No. Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you. You may cross-examine. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Smith, what type of a fence is it at the rear of your property? It's a wooden cedar grape stake fence, approximately 6 feet high. All right, 6 feet, yes. And do you know what the dimensions of your lot are, how many feet by how many feet. It's 80 feet across the rear. 80 feet across the rear. How deep is the lot? Approximately 110. All right, do you have an estimate on the depth of your backyard? Is it about 30 feet deep, the backyard? That would be a good estimate. Now I gather from your testimony that nothing was taken from your house. Is that right? I don't believe so. You don't believe that anything was taken. Is that right? Right. Now you talk about Tulip Drive West is a street to the rear of your house, is running along houses that are behind your house. Is that right? Yes. Is this a main street, heavily traveled street? I'd say fairly heavy. Yes. All right. It's more heavily traveled, for example, than Rose is. That a fair statement? I'd say so. All right. And just across Tulip Drive West beyond your house, there is a parking lot on the Tulip side of Tulip Drive West. No, there is other cuts a hole to there. I don't think my house or the rear to my house faces the street or the parking lot. They face the street, not the parking lot. There is a street that runs along, in other words, above Tulip Drive. Is that right? Well, actually, it is. It cuts diagonal from Tulip Drive West to a street that I live on. All right. Is there a parking lot on the other side of Tulip somewhere in the area behind your house? Not really. I mean, there is a police department across the street. All right. Police department is fairly close to your house. Yes. And the fire department is there. Yes. And then the main city buildings are in that area, aren't they? That's quite a ways across the street. Actually, 1, 2, 3 streets. All right, is there a gas station there on the corner of Tulip Drive in this area? Yes, it's across 3 streets, between 3 streets, right? All right, now if you walk on down Tulip Drive to the west, would you end up in an area near the ocean? Yes. All right, and as you look at the front of your house, now we are back out on Rose looking at a playground or something in front of it, isn't there? It's a school, all right? It's a big open field, am I correct, in front of your house? Yes, grassy field. It's grassy for portions of it. Portions of it are left in its natural state. And that will conclude our Q&A practice.